Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about premium prisms. Now, I haven't posted a video in a hot minute. I've really just been testing decks and getting in reps in preparation for BRO. So for the month of July, I expect uploads to be a little bit slower as I continue to prepare and playtest toward BRO. But I do have a couple of deck lists and some other things this month that I want to share. Today we're going to talk about premium prisms. I think the deck is super interesting. It's a very good way to do the V plus concept in Bermuda with the new stride. It's got some also pretty decent auxiliary strides as well. Feel free to share your prism text in the comments below, as it's really helpful to other prism players that may want to bring this to the premium BRO format or might want to prepare for it much in like the longer term. And lastly, don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe, as it does help the channel. Help your boy. Hopefully you guys are enjoying all the deck profiles, the gameplay, and the discussion videos we've been doing lately on the channel. Let's get into it. So first, we're going to talk about the grade 3s slash grade 4s if you want to play them. Right now, I am currently testing 4 copies of Vert with 2 copies of Happiness Heart Lupina. I am playing Happiness Heart Lupina because I want extra ride targets against decks like Order Colony. But if you're not worried about that and you think that your 4 Vert is personally enough for you, you can actually take these out for your Prism Duo Nectarias, the grade 4. I actually was looking for my bulk for like 3 days. Realized I didn't have any copies, so they're in the mail now. So until then, I'll be testing these. I have another friend who is also testing premium prism builds, and Nectaria seems really strong. I guess it's 1 or 2 of. But for now, we're gonna play the Happiness Heart Lupina. The Lupina also synergizes very well off of the Heltrauda, and so these grade 3s kind of help you aid and so these grade 3s help you play this V plus engine, where you're going to do the new stride and then you're going to de-stride in the battle phase, and then you have these very strong attacks that you can like do multi-attacks with. That's kind of the whole concept. We have grade 2s. We have quite a few of them. Early game is really strong and premium, so like if your deck has a really good grade 2 game and a good first stride, it puts you ahead of a lot of other decks. Premium Prism is one of the few decks that actually has 1, a good first stride, and 2, a good early game. So we have Top Idol Aqua as a 4 of. I play 4 of these because every other grade 2 has a very high value on play skill that either you're going to want to protect for later turns or you might want to refresh. So we play 4 Top Idol Aqua. It just helps. It's amazing. We play 4 copies of Prism Image Rosa. We all know what this does. Adds a card to hand, puts a card in the bind zone for 1 CB. When you place from the bind zone, plus 10k to all front row units with Prism in the name, so it gets your front row big during the battle phase. It's kind of stupid. There's no other Bermuda card that pluses this hard. We play 2 copies of Courteous Beauty Seria. On place, you discard a card and look at the top 3 and add that card to your hand. Add 1 of them to hand. The other 2 you're going to put at the bottom. Just another way to plus. It can help you find more of your niche combo pieces in the deck. We play 2 copies of Choco Love Heart Lisalot. I know more people typically play more of this card. I don't really think you need it, but if you want to play more Lisalot, you can cut the Lupinas. You can cut a lot of stuff in this deck to play more Lupinas. Prism is just good enough where you can kind of just take out whatever you want, as long as you keep the Prism engine in. Your Aqua's probably key pieces. But yeah, I like this as a 2 of. It seems to be working for me. It's really good early game. And of course, I play 1 copy of Pearl Sister Perla, because the Pearl Sisters combo really well off of Heltrauda. Yeah, you swing with them, and then you swing with the stride, and then you bounce all the stuff. You call back the Pearl Sisters. They swing again, and then after that you de-stride. You go your Vert, and then you swing with you bounce them back to hand to protect them, and then you can call Prism units from the bind zone. This is one of the few Bermuda decks that can swing with the Perla Sisters after you de-stride in the battle phase and still be able to protect them for the following turn. I really like these cards, but it feels like sometimes certain matchups you don't want to commit them early because you know they're going to bind them, they're going to tire them, and then you have to take turns to loop them back in deck if you play those resources. So yeah, it's a win con with the new stride, and it works very well. It's an easy way to 2 to 6 your opponent. We have also a ton of grade 1s as well. So we play, of course, the other Pearl Sister Perle. Play 4 copies of Prism Image Clear. Really good on van play skill. Helps you draw into your deck, helps you build big hands. Very nice card. We play 4 copies of Prism Promise Princess Lady. So when it's returned to the hand, you soul charge and you counter charge, and one of your Prism units gets +4. You have ways to loop Lady, so if you're like sitting on 1 CB, you can actually continuously loop the Lady to open up CB, so that way you can do your 2 CB, your 3 CB plays, assuming depending how many you have. And also she can target herself. So if you call her back to hand, if I'm not mistaken, you can unplace it again. You can still target the Lady that you bounce to get the power if it's a relevant matchup. Prism players, correct me if I'm wrong, but my whole group has been testing that you can target the Lady, so that's what we're gonna go off of. We played 2 copies of the PG. This one's the Flash Sapphire one. If it's in the drop zone, you can find it, and then you change your ultimate break skill or your limit break 5 to a limit break 4. This is for your finisher Stride Garnet, which we'll talk about later. And then of course we got 3 copies of Mermaid Idol Sedna, so that way you can search out 3s, and 1 copy of White Elemental Connolly, because Bermuda is one of the very few decks that can actually call Connolly on your opponent's turn, which means you can get around a lot of mass board retire or other skills that could get rid of it. So you can kind of play around those skills, call Connolly at the perfect time, and then shut down your opponent's combo turn. You guys gotta remember, Bermuda is still a frail deck technically, so having cards like Connolly or searchable PGs is just really high value for the deck. There's no other way to put it. For the starter, I play Shizuku. It does not matter what starter you use in this deck, so feel free to pick whichever starter you want, as long as it's a B starter, because you need the extra draw is really helpful, because in the premium build you don't play as many draws as you would in the non-premium build. We have 4 copies of the grade 3 heal. It's just really good, especially if you're gonna try to play the grade 2 game. It's just very strong. 4 stride crit. Yeah, you gotta make sure you have that stride fodder. It's just really important. We have 4 copies of Prism Image Sunshine Clear. So when you bounce it to hand, you can pay its cost, and then you can use it to search out roses or clears from the deck. And it can call the rear, which is absolutely insane. So you can do some really cute multi-attack plays off the Heltrauda, or you can use this with Aqua to search out roses or stuff when you whiff them in the early game. Just a really good consistency piece. You can also get your Verts too in the early game if you can't seem to draw the Vert. There's a lot of ways to get the Vert. The clear does it, the grade 1. The crit trigger does it. You have your roses that do it, Jet, and that's just the Prism mentioned. There's other ways to search it. So I often find Vert. It's very rare when I don't see Vert. Then we have 2 of the draw PGs. This is because we're playing 2 of the Prism PGs in there to make Garnet a little easier to go into. Because it just helps, just in case people want to play around your ultimate break, they can't deal with the crit and the 5 swings. So yeah, we play 2 of those, and then we have the Crook because it can reset a column or bounce a unit, call it again, so you get an extra attack. And then of course the lyrical over trigger. So we have strides. We play 2 of the new one, L plus ratio, #adapt, Radiant Ocean Heltrauda. Great card. For those who don't know what this does yet, when it attacks, you discard 3 cards from your hand and return all cards on your circles other than Vanguard to your hand, so this gets around a lot. And then you call 2. The downside of this card, and people will downplay this and say you have to discard 3 cards from your hand to use this, but I think for every Bermuda build that can't take advantage of this because they don't gain enough hand advantage, there is probably a much better choice of a Bermuda build that can do it. Prism is one of the few that can easily generate hand advantage, so the discard 3-4 drive doesn't really affect the deck too much. It's just sometimes, yes, you will have to discard PGs or important key pieces. After that, at the end of the battle attack, you counterblast and you soul blast. And then you put it back into G zone, and then your hard card or whatever your Vanguard was before you strode will stand. So you get a bunch of swings with this. This basically means you can do the Vert skill to balance your front row and then call 2 from bind zone in the battle. 7 attacks is never bad. It was never bad. Amazing card, but just a 2-0, because if you don't have the hand, you're gonna have to find a different strike to go into. We have Garnet. This is our finisher. You CB1 and you choose a face down, so it's Persona G flip, so you have to flip a copy of herself. And then you can choose an ability from your heart card, and she gets that ability till the end of the turn. You can only choose one, so and it has to be a Prism heart card. So you're gonna combo this with your Barret, and then copy the battle skill to CB1, and then turn your front row and call another 2. And usually when you do Barret, you're trying to finish them off. You're gonna call a front row of prisms. You're gonna have force markers. You're gonna have a good time, and they're all gonna have crits because that's her ultimate break skill. And so when you call those extra 2 prisms, the rows in the clear from the bind zone, they're gonna be really big. They're also gonna have a crit because of current. So just a way to finish, especially if your opponent refuses to give you that 5th damage, makes it really scary. We play 2 copies of Heltrauda Restander. Put stuff back in deck to avoid deck out, but also avoid like board wipe scenarios when you know you can get those resources back. Next, we have a ton of 1-ofs for our offensive strides. Banana Boat wins games. Anj comes up every once in a while, but she's there for those interesting matchups. You almost never go in the Shandy, but when you do, it's not terrible. Or at least it's passive. And we have Heltrauda. Usually you're damage denying if you're going to this stride. Yeah, you just Soul Blast, bounce to the hand. There's also another stride that on swing, you bounce cards back to hand. And so if you want to protect units, that could be more important to you than this one, but I just normally use this one in my stride deck. Let's make some space for our G Guardians, because we have quite a few. We have 2 of the new one. I like it more than our 1-of copy of Leona because you don't have to commit a card after you bounce, which can be really beneficial sometimes, especially when your hands get low and you need to have 3 cards to discard for that new stride, the Heltrauda. We play 2 copies of the Citron. Citron is like your is it the best stride? The like G Guardian in the stride zone? I don't know. Use it to call Hanali or anything else you need. You can also use it to call Rosa on your opponent's turn, and then use Rosa's CV skill on place to try to dig for your PG, or like if you're looking for a follow-up grade 3 because you've been discarding a bunch of cards off of like guarding and stuff. Yeah, then we have Blessed Sparkle Saint, just as a 1-of. She gets big shield value. Prism's one of the few Bermuda decks that actually can amass a very large hand, just off of just doing what it normally does. It doesn't really have to like attack less. It just does what it does, and you end up with big hands. So this is that is the G zone for prisms. You can change a lot of stuff. I know there's that Barret stride. It's also a discard 3 like Heltrauda. I don't really like it. If I'm a discard 3, probably just go into Heltrauda. And Lady directly pays for the Heltrauda cost anyways. So as long as you can bounce this back to hand, you get your counter charge, your soul charge. You can call it back, loop it. This card really enables the new stride as far as like CB and Soul Blast management, so you don't have to worry about that as much. And then of course, like cards like Rosa and some of your other pieces help you in the hand size department. There are a couple of decks that you may want to play if you don't like anything on my list. There's probably something you don't like in the list. You could try playing 4 copies of Mermaid Idol Ellie, because it is not choice restricted in premium. The one caveat though, and mine's is in the mail. You can play the OG version of Mermaid Idol Ellie is a PG, but it has the same name. So what you could do is you can play 3 copies of the V and play 1 copy of the premium, and it means you have a loopable PG. And then you have 3 copies of 20k sheet. That is a very high value play, having that loopable PG. And if you did want stuff to cut, especially if you do have the duo Prism or the Prism duo Nectaria, you can actually cut one of your Lupinas to play the dual Prism Nectaria. And so your Lupina, and then one of your duo PGs or your Prism PGs. And from there, you could take out, like, if you don't like Seria, you could take out Seria. I'd actually probably take out the Pearl Sisters, as they are very good, but they don't synergize as well in this deck as, say, like a Highlander build or something, or a Highlander Prism version of this deck. I'd probably take out these 4 to accommodate space for the Ellies, and I think it would work out just fine. Again, very strong combo, and it is a choice that you can opt into if you want more shield value. I went for a more offensive build, because just like that kind of stuff. And then of course, yeah, the grade 4. I don't own it. It's on screen. If you do own it, you could play it. It's a very good card. We're seeing people in the JP meta play actually 4 of these things. But you could probably get away with 1 to 2. It's not that important or like impactful. Anyways, guys, that's the video today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, help your boy, and most of all, take care of yourself. Peace out, guys.